It's a chilly, rainy night, and I'm standing at the entrance of our building with the doorman, looking for a taxi because I'm late for the theater. No taxis, nothing. Finally, a black car comes slowly up with dim headlights. The doorman turns and says, "You don't want to get into this." The guy says, "How much?" I said, "I do want to get in. If I don't come back, just say I went in a black car." So I get in, say 44th and 7th, and please hurry because my husband's waiting. He doesn't like to wait. "Miss Susan, it's Mohammed. I know your voice. You had me as a student years ago. My anger management is really in control. And I remember you told us to make a mantra to calm down. And I remember your mantra was Pooh, because you like Winnie the Pooh." I said, "Mohammed, that's right, Pooh." I teach a communication course to seniors in a public high school in Manhattan called Manhattan International. All the students are immigrants who have been in this country for about 4 or 5 years. They come in 9th grade speaking no English, and by 12th grade they're really literate. And I teach anger control, resolving bad habits. Most of all, what we work on is their personal essay for college. I ask them to think of a pinnacle moment in their life or a time when the way they saw the world or life just changed. "I can't write my story, Miss Susan," Valley said. "I can't write about my brother." Valley from Albania with ruddy cheeks and blondish hair, who was always joking and laughing, was now in tears. "I can't tell this story. Valley, just write what happened. Don't write about your feelings. Just write it to me." 4 weeks later, Valley had his story, and he told it in class. He was 7 years old, and his older brother played these dangerous games with his friends. They went into an abandoned shed, and one boy would stand on a pile of rocks, and then they would put a noose around their neck from the ceiling, and they would dance on the rocks to see how long they could stay up. One day, when his brother was on top of these rocks, the boys were called out of the shed, and the brother slipped and hung himself. Nobody in the family talked to Valley about this. They were never allowed to talk about the boy again, and they moved from Albania to New York City. Valley said that he felt it was his fault because he knew about the games, but he didn't tell his mother. I was walking on 77th and Lexington Avenue, right in the middle of the crosswalk. This is 3 years later. I bumped smack into Valley. "Miss Susan," he says, and we hug, and the horns are honking, and then he goes on, and as he leaves, he turns and he says, "I'm still thinking about my brother." One morning, I'm walking toward the subway, and I hear, "Miss Susan?" And I turn, and the gentleman on the corner who sells those imitation designer bags, he's wearing a caftan, he's been there for about 30 years. "Miss Susan, you have my daughter there in your class." "Oh," I say, "what's her name?" He says, "Fatimata from Senegal." "I do. She's doing very well." From now on, whenever I go by the stand, I hear, "Hello, Miss Susan." And I go and I chat or I wave. The other day, it was Culture Day at the school, and this is when all the students bring in their traditional food to share. The halls smell of food, and it's very busy, and I'm out in the hall, and I look and I see Ray Ming, a student that I had a while ago from China. He comes toward me, "Miss Susan." I said, "Ray Ming, what are you doing here?" He said, "Well, I heard it was Culture Day." And then he said, "I remember the moment." I said, "Ray Ming, I can't hear you. So we just get together and we sit down and we put our heads together and he repeats, 'I remember the moment that I told my story in class.'" Ray Ming shared a secret that when he was in China, he was in 7th grade, and after school, the boys decided to go to a river. They were not allowed to swim without an adult, but they went, and they played a game of tag. And one boy, his best friend, got caught in the current and drowned. Ray Ming felt it was his fault, as did the parents of this boy. And it brought great shame to his family. So they left China and came to New York City. Sitting in the hall, Ray Ming told me, "Miss Susan, I went back to China last summer and I apologized to my friends, and they weren't angry at me." The other night, I was having dinner with my husband. "Charlie, I can't believe how these kids pop up. It just surprises me how they pop up all over the city. And how a student in the middle of a crowd, I feel so connected to them because I know their story. I help them contend with their past, but what they give me is an awareness of the human spirit." Thank you.